Today we will be learning about a program called GALE In-Context, which is an online database available to Jefferson Township Public Schools for middle school and high school students. I will be focusing specifically on the middle school version. The high school version looks very similar, it's just that the reading comprehension levels available are much higher. Now, one thing to note is that we are having some problems with the connection between this and Clever. So your teacher will most likely provide you just with a direct link. This is the direct link for the middle school. You'll note when I come in here, because I've used it already has Jefferson Township Middle School up at the top as the library, and I'm already signed in through Google. If you get to this link and it doesn't have Jefferson Township Middle School already connected, it's going to ask you for a district password. The password for the middle school is Falcon, Falcon, and it's all lowercase. After you log in with that password, you're going to want to sign in with Google as well. You'll click this, it'll pop up the option of which account to use, and you'll be signed in. The reason you want to sign in with Google, now you can use it without signing in. You can just put in the district password, it'll take you to the middle school, you'll be able to search. But the reason you're going to want to sign in is because it's now going to connect to our multiple Google accounts, including Google Drive, Noodle Tools, email, all of that. And you're going to be able to then save your research directly. So it's very important to make sure you're signed in. You have the search bar up here. You can do a basic search and an advanced search. You have topics of interest. These always change from week to week. It is Women's History Month, which is why the Alice Paul article is up here. Then you have browsing topics. Here you also have a toolbar. Again, browse topics. The title list, not what you think it is. Most people think it's going to be a list of some of the titles and sources they have, but it's actually a title list for all of the GALE products. So we're using GALE In-Context Middle School. If I clicked here, it would show me all other GALE products available, not necessary for students. Search history, get link, pretty obvious. You're getting the link for what's on the page right now. And then highlights and notes. We'll come back to this later, but what it does is it shows you all the highlights and notes you've made on the current page. We haven't made any yet, so it's not necessary. Now, if I go over here to the search bar, I can start typing in my topics, in this case, Harriet Tubman, and you'll see that it'll autocomplete just like Google does, except when it does autocomplete, it'll autocomplete specifically for the GALE search database. Anything that's bold like this means that there's a main article about it. If you see anything underneath, those would be additional searches that people have done in the past. So I can click on Harriet Tubman, and it'll bring me to the search results. Now I still have the option here for an advanced search if I want to narrow it down a little bit further. Up at the top here, it'll usually, especially if you're looking at a specific person, place, or event, give you one of the main articles. And you can see I have like a little blurb, I can read more. It gives me some quick facts about this topic. So if I wanted to just go to a general article about Harriet Tubman, I can use this. Below that, though, are some other options. You can see on this page, it's going to give me 27 reference sources, 16 biographies, 277 magazines, and so on. I mean, you can actually use this if you're looking specifically for a video or an audio clip. I can also do related topics, all kind of connected to Harriet Tubman, so chances are that would be more Underground Railroad, freeing the slaves, the Civil War, things like that. I also have the option to search within the topic, within these results. So this is like narrowing it down. This is like doing an advanced search. It's already narrowed down to Harriet Tubman. Now I can look within the Harriet Tubman results and find maybe mentions of the Underground Railroad or mentions of Frederick Douglass or mentions of the Civil War or stops along the railroad, whatever it is I'm looking for. It will then sort it for me. So you can see here the references. It shows the top 3. Biography, it shows the top 3. The videos, the magazines, the audio, the news. So I have a little snapshot of all of my sources that have come up as a result of this search. Now for each of these references, it's a pretty large list here. I mean, the fact that there's 277 magazines alone, if you add up all of these numbers, that's a lot of options. So doing maybe an advanced list might be something that could help you, maybe filter it a little bit. But I also can take a look at each of my results and decide just from here if it's worth opening up. For each one, I'm given the title of whatever the article or work is, where it came from. So you can see this is actually part of the middle school GALE collection. Over here, this is an article from the World Biography Online Encyclopedia. Over here, Discovering Multicultural America. We have here the New York Times video collection. We have All Things Considered, American History. So you can see right there, you can kind of curate the sources and see which ones you think are going to be more reliable for you. You also have the date it was published. So, I mean, the Harriet Tubman, this title, this topic is older. Not a lot has changed on her information in the last 100 years. So, I'm not necessarily needing the most current, but there are topics sometimes where you want something that is more current. So, something from, let's say, here, 2003, would not be as desirable as something from 2016 or over here, 2021. Within here, too, I can see how many words are in this article. Honestly, sometimes everybody thinks the shorter words, oh, the better. So this is 404 words. That's going to be great. But obviously, that is not going to give me as much information as this source, which has over 3,000 words. It also tells me what type of source it is. This is a topic overview, topic overview. Those are just general, like encyclopedia articles, things like that. This one's a biography. Here's another biography. Here, a brief article. This is a broadcast that was done. This is another article. So, what type of source it is. Then you have whether it's leveled, meaning has it been adjusted to fit a specific reading level, a specific group. Anything in the GALE middle school collection will have been curated and edited and fixed in order to fit middle school students and their comprehension and their reading. You also have the Lexile level. So see, this one is a 960, which is a lower level than this 1040. You also have the levels. Here we have a level 3. Over here we have a level 4. There are, I believe, some level 5s. You might find some level 5s in here. Oh, here's one. Level 5. That means it's just a little bit higher in the content in what they're talking about. Most of the middle school stuff is going to be in the 3 to 4 range. If I click on, let's say I decide I really like this source, I would like to use this source, I'm going to click on it to open it. And now I'm given a whole set of tools and resources in which to use in order to analyze this source. Up at the top now, you'll notice this search bar has changed. It doesn't have the same information as it had the first time we looked at it. We'll go over all the options here. You also have the date it was published, again, who published it, the publishing company, what type. Here's again the word length, the content level. Sometimes you may find too that you can change the Lexile level. So this was originally published at a 960, but if we need to lower it, if we've read through it and it doesn't really make sense to us, we can actually lower the Lexile level. I would suggest starting at whatever it is published, reading it over, checking it over, and then if needed, going to a lower level. Don't start at the lower level. It might actually leave information out that you might find necessary. Here we have another toolbar. We can translate it to different languages. We can decrease the font size, increase the font size, display options, and you also have the option to listen to it. You can have it read to you. Then we can export it. We can either send it to our Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, which we don't really use. We can email it. You can download it as a PDF or you can print it. As I'm reading, let's say that I want to highlight this sentence for some reason. There's something about it. Once I've selected it, you can see I can actually make an annotation here. I can highlight it in a specific color. I can click on it to look for one of the words. Maybe there's a word like the word property. If I'm searching, it'll actually give me a definition. So I can say this one is the one I want to use. And then I can type something if I wanted to, let's say sample, and then I can save. Now it has saved and I can access it again. See if I'm clicking this. it does have the sample. It didn't save the definition. I'd still have to go back, but it does save whatever the text is. And now you'll notice up here in my highlights and notes, there's a number 1. If I click here, it's going to show me all my highlights and notes so I can go through and view them all in one place. Let's say I've gone through, I've made some notes on here, I've selected some things. So if I want to cite it, I can either click this button here and it'll pop up for me, or I can go down to the bottom where the citation information is. This means adding it to your sources, whatever method you're going to use. First, double check to make sure it's the right type of citation. Now, in the middle school, we tend to always use MLA, and that's auto-selected, so that should work. I can copy and paste the citation. So if I wanted to paste it into a Word doc or a Google Doc or something like that, I have that option. Okay. However, I can also export it. Now, we use Noodle Tools. The key here, though, is that I have to make sure that my Noodle Tools project is already open. So you'll notice up here in this tab, I've already got my project open. Like I've created it, I've opened it, I'm in the source area right now. So if I click Export to Noodle Tools, it's now going to ask me some information. It's going to say, here's your imported reference. All right, this is exactly what was pulled from GALE. Then it's saying to improve citation accuracy. So these references are formed using data from the vendor. If you think you spot an error, help us improve. So if you look through it and you feel like this is the right way, it has all the information, it's formatted correctly, you can say, yes, looks good to me, I don't need to edit it. If you think you see an error, you can click here and then you can tell them what changes you want to make. But for the most part, I would say we can say it's pretty good. Then it says you're logged into Noodle Tools as, and you can say this is not me if it's showing somebody else's, and which project do you want to open it for. So I have the sample project, and I hit import references. So now it says one reference successfully exported to the sample project. So you can close that tab, but now if I go back to my project and I refresh my page, I can see that my source is here. So this is directly from the database. Maybe I want to download this or print this, which is fine. But if I really want to make it easier for myself, I can send this to my Google Drive. So it's sent to my Google Drive and will appear shortly. Here, click OK. Then if I go into my drive, and I'm going to want to click recent, I can see here Abolition of Slavery uploaded this morning. So I have all of my citation information at the top. I have the full text of the article. I have my annotation that I made. Now, in this case, my annotation that I made is actually at the bottom. See the highlighted passage here at the bottom? So it doesn't add it like a comment to the side, but it will add it, all of your highlights and stuff to the bottom. So this has been exported now into my Google Docs.